Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our morning market update. It's Monday, June the 5th. Tomorrow's a really important day. I'll tell you why later. I'll tell you why tomorrow. How about that? We got to leave some interest for the following day. All right, we start the week on a little bit of risk-off sentiment. So this week is starting out with a little bit of fear in the market. The big news overnight is what? It is the new tensions in the Gulf Coast. All right, new crisis in the Gulf Coast. Out of nowhere, Saudi Arabia, well, it's not out of anywhere. You have to kind of know the background and pretext to this. All right, Qatar had a news agency that pushed forward or supported some sentiment that said, hey, look, we're being a little bit too anti-Iran here. And if you guys don't know, Qatar neighbors with Iran. Iran's a little bit more northeast of it. So basically they said, hey, guys, maybe we're being a little bit too hard on it here. And they said this anti-Iran sentiment may not be right. So there was some criticism of Saudi Arabia primarily against Iran. And with that, Saudi Arabia panicked. Didn't really panic, but they basically labeled Qatar a terrorist financer and supporter, and they've imposed a lot of sanctions. Land and sea travel is halted by the following countries around Qatar. So Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, all right, or Bahrain as they say it. UAE, United Arab Emirates, are also part of that. Egypt is part of that as well. And let's see, I didn't miss any. And that's it. All right. And they're basically suspended air and sea travel to and from Qatar. Now, Qatar has plenty of oil reserves. They have plenty of energy sources. What they do not have is food and imports of the like. So this could lead to real trouble. And obviously, the United States is implicated in this. They don't want any kind of tensions in the Middle East. That's their source of oil. All right. So this is going to be very interesting. Overnight, oil dropped quite a bit and then recovered, so it shrugged some of this news off. But watch for these tensions. We're starting a week on that note, and the markets are down. So speaking of that, in Asia, Japan's flat. Okay, Hong Kong's down 0.2, China down 0.5, India holding on to 0.1% gain. In Europe, Paris is down 0.6, London's down 0.3, Frankfurt's up 1.3%. Futures in the morning here in the U.S., S&P is down 0.1, NASDAQ's down 0.1, crude's holding on to a tiny 0.1% gain, and gold up 0.2% to 1282.90. So we're relatively flat in terms of the actual assets and the movement in prices, but the sentiment has changed literally overnight. Let's watch for this as it develops. This week we got a lot of news on the wire. We have the ECB conference and Mario Draghi Thursday. We also have James Comey testifying on Thursday against allegations of Trump and Russia interfering in elections, which is absolute and total BS with no proof, and it's unfounded. If something comes out of that, I'd be shocked. All right, just remember, Comey said he testified, then he said he wouldn't, then he said he did. He might have been told some stuff, then he said he didn't. Why he's allowed to testify baffles me. All right, if you guys listen to all Western media, you're going to have a Western media angle on reality. What you need to do is listen to multiple sources. Get in there, listen to Al Jazeera, read some Russian insider articles, get perspective from countries outside of the one you live in, because that's how true opinion is formed about the markets. If you just listen to one news source, if you just listen to CNN, you're in a shell. Okay, you need to wake up because this world is changing. There's things happening out there underneath your nose if you just listen to one news source. You have to kind of take outside news and amalgamate it to form an opinion. Not just if you're trading, if you're living as well. It's a global world. There's a lot of things impacting us. You can't rely on one news source. All right, go out there and encourage you guys to listen to Megyn Kelly's interview of President Putin. Very honorable, respectable man. Look, I'm not a pro-Russian guy. I'm not saying the Russians are great or they don't have their flaws, but you can't argue with Putin's logic. Okay, he's very logical. He takes complicated matters and breaks them down. Now, you're going to say that I also assisted in facilitating election interference. I don't care if you do because I didn't, all right? I'm a seeker of the truth. I like to see multiple angles, and that helps me in my trading, okay? If at the very least for my trading results, it's done wonders. This morning, we had productivity and costs. We had the Gallup U.S. spending measure. We won't talk about that. We'll talk about it with the subscribers. We have PMI services index first thing at 9:45 in the morning, 15 minutes after the bell. Labor market condition index at 10. Just to remind you guys, Friday's orders on non-farm payrolls were a total whiff. All right, terrible report in all aspects. We spent the whole Sunday market analysis live webinar talking about it, so I won't rehash any of that. But all I can say is it was a miss, and it was a clear miss. But the market didn't care. It rallied to new highs. ISM non-manufacturing index as well as 10 a.m. No Fed speakers this week. They're on a blackout period because in the next week, Wednesday, we have the all-important Federal Reserve meeting. It's not important because we're trying to decide whether or not they're going to hike rates. It's important to talk about this balance sheet and how they're going to unwind it. All right. Back to Qatar for a moment. It's very ironic that Saudi Arabia actually points the finger at Iran and says, hey, you guys are terrorist financing, and hey, Qatar, you should be sanctioned against this because you're supporting Iran. Since there's a report out of that leaked and that Obama took extraordinary measure to cover up 11-page document directly linking Saudi Arabia to the 9/11 attacks. I'm not going to get too deep into this. It's controversial. I'm speaking out in public. I got to be careful what I say, but I will say this. 15 of the 19 hijackers in the 9/11 terrorist attack had Saudi Arabian passports. It's a fact. You don't have to cover that up or hide it, right? It's fact. Saudi officials stamped those passports in a certain way as well to differentiate them and give them preferential treatment, all right? They help with money, accommodations, pilot training, and more. And it's ironic that they're now pointing the finger and saying, hey, Qatar, you're supporting terrorism financing. All right, Saudi Arabia just did a $350 billion deal with the United States. They just got a lot of money worth of new arms. Where do you think those arms are going? Enough about that. I'm not going to blabber about it. Just watch the market, listen to the tone, because there's a lot going on today that could shift the risk-off sentiment, and assets could run out of equity and run to bonds, gold, Bitcoin, and the US dollar. Watch those four assets today as assets sell off. Also watch volatility index, the VIX. It's been suppressed for a long time. In their newsletter on the weekend, here it is. I guess I'll leak it for free. Our position is to try to get long some VIX call spreads at the right time. All right, the accumulated position in long volatility. We think this trade's finally going to blow out of the gate and take everybody out of it. Everyone is short volatility in today's market. People who have no business trading are telling me they're running a short volatility strategy. Saying, first of all, how do you even know what trading is? Second of all, whose money are you running a strategy with? It better be your own, and you're not taking other people's money. You have no clue what you're doing. All right, there's too many people short volatility. We're going to squeeze them out at the right time, and I think it's coming up really soon. I feel it. Bad jobs report. All right, we got an interest rate hike coming next Wednesday. It's pretty much a foregone conclusion, over 90% chance. All right, that's putting in, dampening the mood a little bit. They're going to unwind their balance sheet. The Fed's gung-ho about that. That's going to scare the market. We'll talk about that this Sunday Market Analysis Live. All right, we got the ECB. Mario Draghi seems committed to stretch out the stimulus round as long as possible. That's a little positive. But this new crisis in the Middle East, in the Gulf states, all right, that's going to be interesting as well. Now there's tensions with North Korea. There's tensions there as well. It's not going to get any better. All right, this is going to put pressure on the OPEC production cut deal. Suddenly, there's a lot of things starting to pile up. As I say in Market Analysis Live, there's a lot of dynamite. Now you just need an ignition source, and boom, goes the whole thing. But without fire, without ignition, there's no boom. So don't just go shorting this madly because you think it should go down. Wait for the right time when you start to feel longs get nervous. Ask yourself this question. Use reverse psychology when you're trading. It works really well for me on an intraday day trading term. Ask yourself, if I was long right now, would I be nervous? If the answer is yes, you can start looking for a short trade. You can start qualifying it. Doesn't mean you just short it right away. Then you start to look for some more things you look at in your system to actually qualify and pull the trigger on the trade. But it all starts with our shorts starting to get nervous. If the answer is, holy crap, shorts are so nervous. If I was long right now, I'm so nervous, I'd be looking to get out and my stop would be getting hit, then you better short it. That's your when moment. Okay, guys, take care. Have a great session. Also, last piece of news, remember, Apple's having a developer conference today. It starts at 10 a.m. Tim Cook will be kicking that off with a speech. Will he be wearing a turtleneck? Probably. All right. Kind of copied Steve Jobs in that regard. I think it's one of those things where all CEOs of Apple must wear black turtlenecks. All right. That's not my rule. Okay. Don't get mad at me. But he's kicking off at 10 a.m. Actually, he doesn't wear a turtleneck. He wears a long sleeve. It's still black, though. So at least he's changing the game a little bit over there at Apple. Trendsetter. He ditched the turtleneck. That conference is coming up. The reason it's important is they're talking about software and hardware updates. Obviously, they're going to talk about how great the company is and big it up. It's an opportunity to market and sell themselves and their company. That's obvious. All right. An analyst from Pacific Crest has downgraded Apple. You need to know about that. Apple themselves have admitted they expect a decline in iPhone sales by 2019. When a company tells you that, it probably means it's going to happen in 2018. All right, it might already be happening if they start admitting it. So an analyst is the first out of this Pacific Crest company to actually go out there and issue a downgrade from outperform to just perform. Basically, stop buying it, maybe just hold, but don't buy any more shares. And he's saying buy competitors instead, buy Google and other companies, saying weaker iPhone sales are going to soften some of their margins, and they're having supply chain issues on producing this iPhone to begin with, and sales are going to be down. So it's pretty much a bust for their sales. All right, that's what he's saying. And he's also saying the software sales can't make up for the hardware sales unit, which is totally true. Apple lives and dies off their iPhone. They've created and changed the camera and the color and the cases for the same iPhone the last 8 times. All right, it's the same phone you're buying 8 times over. And maybe people finally decided they bought the same phone enough. I don't know, but sales are expected to decrease. That conference kicks off at 10 a.m. Eastern. Watch Apple. It represents 4% of the entire S&P 500 index. So if you're not watching it for any clues, then you're probably clueless. Just kidding. I just thought it was a good opportunity to throw that in there. Watch it for clues. It could lead in today's market. So there you go. The stage is set. You have some volatility to probably enter back into the market. Let's get in there and trade it. Trade Pro subscribers, hang tight. Let's open up the room and let's start gearing up for the day. YouTube, thanks for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow. Good day, mate. To Paul, hope you're doing well. YouTube, thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow morning. You guys should definitely subscribe and check out the trading room. We do this every day. We carry over from this morning broadcast into live trades for the entire morning. Great opportunity to see how we trade, what we do, get some ideas and education as well around you, and join a group of traders that are doing this day in and day out. All right, we're here fighting in the trenches. I'm not just giving broadcasts and going to sip a mojito on the beach. After my broadcast, I start trading. I grind out every penny of this market, just like you. All right, take care. Have a great session. Good luck. I think volatility is going to start to come back to the market. I couldn't be more excited. Feeling better. I got over my cold. I'm on top of the moon right now. All right, take care, guys. See you tomorrow. Goodbye. Subscribers, hang tight. Give me a sec. Let me just end the broadcast.